Okay, it's been a while, so I hope I get this. Leadville, the podcast for the 100-mile mountain bike race presented by Shimano. This is Season 9, Episode 1 of the show that breaks down, builds up, gets you ready, and freaks you out for the highest, hardest one-day mountain bike race in the country. I'm Michael Hottie, Hottie the most.
And I'm Fatty, and I'm back in, baby. This episode is very much not hypothetical for me.
I want that on your number plate. Undeferred, and then your number. We got plenty to talk about with the changes to the 2026 course and all that it implies. And we have got a pair of great guests to help us through it all. Nate Whitman, 23-time finisher, super fast guy, and now a Leadville local. Nate, thanks for being on.
Absolutely. Hottie, it's great to be here. Fatty, thank you guys for inviting me back. Very excited for the race this year, and we've got a lot to talk about. Man, do we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, man, do we have a lot to talk about. And we have Melisa Rollins, 2024 Leadville champ, current XCM national champ, former Leadville bartender. Melisa, welcome.
I should add that into my bio.
You should put that on your number plate. Yeah, bartender.
Exactly. Really great to be on here with you guys, and I'm super excited to talk about my favorite race of the year.
Let's do a quick tally here. How many Leadville finishes do we have on mic right now? Nate just said you've got 23. I've got 27, so 50 between you and me, just half of us. Melisa, how many do you have? Are you 7?
7. Yeah.
7.
7.
So 57. And Hottie, what are you
Hottie has 4, plus I don't know how many times standing in the crew zone, handing bottles up and taking care of riders, so.
That's right. So 61 finishes between the four of us. That is not nothing. So I want to keep up that tally for a second. So everyone's fastest and slowest time at Leadville. My slowest, 11:27. My fastest, 8:13. I have finished times in 8, 9, 10, and 11-hour ranges. I think I might be the only one of us who actually has that broad of a range. I also have single-speed finishes in the 8, 9, and 10-hour range. So, Hottie, how about yourself? Slowest and fastest.
Oh, okay. Slowest? Because I paced a guy twice, and that was like 9:45. I don't remember now. And my personal slowest was like 9:25, I think, and my fastest was 8:35. So everything's been kind of in that range, within an hour.
8, 9-hour guy. Mm-hmm. Okay. How about you, Nate?
My slowest time is 10 hours and 29 minutes. My fastest time is 6 hours and 51 minutes.
Excellent.
So 10, 9, 8, 7, and 6.
That's a spread there, yeah.
You know, Nate, we are equal. I also have a similar spread.
So, Melisa, your slowest and your fastest time?
Slowest was 10:12, and fastest was just squeaking under 7, 6:59.
Yes.
One of only 3 women to finish under 7 hours. That is just mind-blowing.
It is.
So, the four of us really can span a lot of the experience that any kind of racer is going to be bringing to this course, whether you are an 11 or a 6-hour racer.
Equipment as well, I would say, right? We take it all the way from single speed to rigid to full suspension to drop bars. we've run the gamut.
But none of us have ever done this course. Let's talk a little bit about this course, the uniqueness of the race this year. I, who am probably the worst person in the world at maps, I stared at the course as it came out yesterday, and I am like puzzling out the implications. Some of it I get, maybe I don't get all of it. So it's good to have 2 of us, Nate and Melisa, are both in Leadville right now, have looked at a lot of the course as it has been revealed. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the course. How is it different? What are the implications?
Yeah, I can speak to it. I've ridden every piece of the course at some point. The new sections are mostly in between the top of Carter's Summit and the fish hatchery, I would say. So instead of turning right to go down May Queen, as we normally would when we...
Turning right at the Carter,
correct,
as you come through the Carter exit.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will instead be turning left. So you will descend instead of the May Queen descent, you'll descend in the opposite direction. It's a very similar descent. It kind of has a few sketchy hairpin turns on the way down. I would say that the May Queen descent also had those, but this one's going to be new. And so you'll descend for about 3 miles, and then it's kind of flat to rolling until you reach, I don't know how to, I would say it's like the end of the Turquoise Lake Road. And that is where it will get spicy.
Hey there, Fatty breaking in here. When we recorded this episode on the afternoon of Friday, August 7th, we talked for about 10 minutes about this spicy part Melisa was just referring to. It's a quick, loose, rocky drop right after you cross Turquoise Lake Road. It's been part of the Leadville Trail 100 run forever, but it would be new to the mountain bike race. Now, moments after we finished recording, a course update came across the wire revealing that segment will not, in fact, be part of the race. Now, I won't speak for pros and elite racers, and they're not here with me to speak for themselves now, but I will say that for citizen racers like me, this is a really good change. That rocky, loose drop is also narrow, and we'd be hitting it about 17 miles into the race. That's early. A lot of us are still really packed together. A narrow technical descent would very likely have created a true funneling effect, quite possibly backing up racers into a Congo line hundreds of people deep. So here's what we're doing instead. We'll turn left onto the paved Turquoise Lake Road, riding down to and past the Sugarloafin RV Park, and then a very sharp right turn onto County Road 5, pointing us toward the Mount Massive Golf Course. Back to the show. So I want to back up just a little bit because when I turn left at Carter, I am entering an unknown universe. I mean, I have ridden down that road before, yes, but I've never thought as I went down it, I wonder how this will be when I race it. So, Nate, Mel, what is it like?
Yeah, I'd throw a little bit of extra flavor to Mel's comments. It's a paved descent. It's a paved fast descent. But compared to the way that most of us racers that have done the race before are used to when you turn right, I would say it's quite a bit twistier. Like your line of sight, how far out ahead you can read the bends and the apexes of the turns. It's definitely, my impression of it is it's quite a bit twistier. The traditional course is a little bit more straighter with some gentle bends, and there's one or two in there that the radius is a little tighter than maybe what you're anticipating can cause trouble. Whereas this one's a little bit of more of a guessing game all the way down. If you're turning right or left, just trying to read how tight you can stay to the center line or the edge of the road. And the other thing of note, and it'll be interesting to see how the course is marked, but all along the way, there are numerous paved, let's call them side roads. Typically what they actually are the entryway, the driveway into different campgrounds. So Turquoise Lake is a big recreation area, and all along this section of the lake, there's, Baby Doe and there's, Father Tabor. There's all this sort of named historical campgrounds. So it'll be interesting to see because I know the time that I tried to do it recently at speed, sometimes your eyes will play a little trick on you and you'll have to think for just that split millisecond at speed whether you're seeing the road itself or whether you're seeing a entryway into a campground. So that'll be something to keep in mind.
Also, there are going to be a lot of us right there, right? This is very, very early in the race. There's a very low chance that you are going to be riding down this alone. That's a good thing and a bad thing, right? There's always going to be someone you can follow. If you follow someone who doesn't know what they're doing and has gone the wrong way, that's not good. Most of us, that's not going to be a problem. What I want to say, and this is for citizen racers, Mel, you and all of the fast folk you are racing with, you're going to be flying down this. I would say that, Nate, what you noted, that there is some shorter, tighter radius turns, that there are places where there are potholes. Basically, there are places that could ruin your day and more. So, take it easy, I guess, is kind of that is going to be my watchword as I am going down. I'm going to keep my fingers on my brakes. I am probably going to be riding my brakes a little bit because for me, the most important thing I can do that day is finish the race.
Well, let's get from our experts here a couple things about this pavement section since it's going to be speedy. We're looking at dropping 1,000 feet probably in this paved section, maybe a little less than that. So give us some intel on the pavement conditions and any tips about high-speed turning with knobby tires on a mountain bike, which sounds like might be in order here.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty similar to the alternate descent, the May Queen descent. If you're familiar with that, you're pretty familiar with how the pavement looks on the other side. There's a couple of spots where it's kind of washed out, but for the most part, it's like a nice smooth surface. Like what Nate said, there's definitely a couple of hairpin turns that you really can't see until you're on them. And so I just keep your eyes up for the most part and try to, I guess, be as smooth as possible as you're going through the corners. Just be alert, I guess, and make sure, you can try to anticipate these couple of really tight turns.
Mm-hmm.
And for citizen racers, people like me, I'm going to say, be communicative. If you see something coming up and you know there are folks behind you, let people know, right bend, left bend, slowing, things like that. I don't think you are going to annoy anyone, but even if you do, it is better to annoy than to have someone, cut you off or get cut off by you.
I like that, Fatty. One piece I might add for all racers, but certainly for citizen racers, I'd probably advocate against doing what we sort of think of like in a typical roadie group where you're pointing out, right? Like point it out. I'm not sure I want you taking a hand off the bar at 35, 40 miles an hour to point out a pothole. Like I'd probably rather want both hands on the bars. So you're right. Be verbal, slowing, moving left, be kind of deliberate. One of the things I do always when racing is I kind of repeat a little bit of a mantra to myself, which is eyes, like my eyes, like vision. Sometimes I just say to myself, eyes, eyes, eyes. And when I say that, what I'm telling myself is like, don't tune out. Look ahead, near, far, where are riders, use your eyes to kind of predict what's coming. And I would want both hands on the bars in case there is a pothole. You also always, it goes without saying, but certainly like in the high country and here in Colorado, watch for sand, watch for gravel, like that is on the side of the pavement. There's nothing more slippery than a little bit of gravelly sand from, winter conditions at the fringe of the roadway. Mm-hmm. The other thing that came to my mind, just to kind of put in perspective, I know I'm not sure what the regulations are here for Leadville. I know the UCI banned the quote unquote super tuck. But I frequently over the years would find myself in the super tuck position going down the traditional course on the pavement and really getting low and arrow. And the turns are tight enough on this particular side, on the left-hand turn we're calling it. I don't think I'm going to find myself wanting to try to do a super tuck. I need to like focus on the turn. Outside pedal down. Another mantra I say to myself, particularly, and Mel, I know you do all the gravel too, I say the word dig. Dig, 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 dig. And when I say that, what do I mean? I mean, dig that outside foot into the pedal. Outside of the turn, inside foot is up, outside foot is down, and I just say the word dig, weight the pedal, drive, to the point of the knobbies on pavement, drive the edge of the tires down into the surface of the pavement and let them do their thing. And
let's say I'm a 10, 11 hour racer. Can I safely eat and drink on this section?
I'd wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm waiting. As a 10, 11 hour racer this year, I do not plan to eat or drink on this descent. For one thing, I will have been racing for about an hour and a half, probably at the time I get to here. It's still cold. I'm only going to be going downhill and for, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't even know how long it'll take.
I don't even think it's that long. There's a pretty clear stop sign that you'll go through that kind of indicates the bottom of the descent. And then you roll for a while as you approach the dam. And I'd say that's a much better place for you to eat and drink. The proper descent is only 3 miles, and then you'll hit a stop sign, and then it kind of rolls a
So
bit
you
more.
can, once it starts rolling, you can start eating and drinking.
And after that, you can eat for the next 20 miles.
Yeah.
I just wanted to cover this one last section here real quick. It's probably going to take really quick because it looks pretty benign, but I want to be sure since you folks have seen it. So we've covered the Turquoise Lake descent away from Carter Aid. We're going the opposite direction. Then you make a hard right at the Sugarloaf and Campground. You make this hard right on the 5A. You go south along the golf course, and at the southern end of the golf course, you make a right and cut over towards Powerline. This pavement section is about 2 miles. Is there anything here that we need to be aware of as far as road hazard or tactic or anything in here that stands out?
I've ridden that road quite a few times, just going to and from Powerline, and if you formerly had ever cut out part of the course and were pre-riding, whatever, I've ridden that quite a few times. And the only notable thing that I can remember about this road is that it has those little, I don't know if they're rain lines or something, but it's like kakunk, 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 kakunk.
100%.
Oh, yeah,
For
Mel,
2
you
miles.
read my mind. They're just cracks. They're horizontal cracks
Hate
straight
those.
across the road. It must be something to do with, the earth underneath with the temperatures surging and expanding. But yep, gagung, gagung, gagung,
So
gagung.
expect that.
Okay, so let's talk about the return on this section, okay? Because now we're talking about afternoon winds. And normally we just hang a left at Powerline and go up that beast. But now we're going to go continue eastbound on that road, right? And then eventually turn northbound on 5A. Is there anything wind-wise that might be an issue when late in the afternoon like that?
That whole section from Fish Hatchery to where you'll make a left to go back toward the golf course is going to be a ripper tailwind.
Okay.
If it's the similar winds that we've been
Northwest
having.
wind. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's been super on the way back. Sorry, inbound. Yeah, outbound, I think the wind is typically not as strong and not as much of an influence, but on the way back in, it's usually a net headwind on the way in, and it's been westerly winds here, at least since I got here a week and a half ago. So
you get a little tailwind once you
Yeah.
pass the pipeline there and you go eastbound on that road. Then you make a left on 5A as you're going back towards the Sugarloaf and Campground. And that you'll
Back
be
to
back to your normal head or head cross in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Even those of us who aren't great road cyclists, who don't know a lot about riding together in a group, find a group, ride together. Obviously, just don't overlap wheels and be as safe as you possibly can. When it's time to eat, move to the back of the group. Don't eat from the front, and just take care of each other. And give each other help, not criticism. We're all there on trying to have a good race day.
Yeah, I'd echo that, Fatty, and I do think that starts to get into a little bit of the race dynamics for the rest of the day and how they might be slightly different than in the course that we're all used to, where we go down the power line. I would just simply expect that more riders will be able to stay closer to one another all the way through there. There's just, if you sort of pick your endpoint as where does that road heading toward the fish hatchery, how many racers can still be together with one another in groups there in this circumstance versus a traditional course? I think it'll be more condensed, more densely packed with riders. So I think that's probably a good thing for a lot of people thinking about making their way all the way across to Twin Lakes Dam.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I at this point we sort of rejoin the traditional course, right?
Yep.
And Hottie and I have talked about that ad nauseum. Find one of our old course episodes. Enjoy 3 hours of Hottie and Fatty talking about the course. Then we get to Twin Lakes Dam, and that is a part where I want Nate and Melisa to sort of talk about what citizen racers ought to be looking for, because I think this is important, because I think there is going to be a greater concentration of citizen racers as we cross the highway, go through the pro feed zone, and then we are on single track connecting us to the dam. And Keegan and Melisa and probably Nate are all going to be coming back on that right at that moment. So how do you want us to handle that, Melisa?
Yeah.
What do you want people like me to think about for people like you?
There actually is a viral or semi-viral meme from last year. Someone pulled like a piece of the live stream when I was going up this section. So my inbound of approaching Twin Lakes on those little bumps. I'm riding up the trail, and there are citizen racers riding down, and I don't know who does the right of way. I was climbing, they were descending. It doesn't matter. I think anyway, there was a video that was like Mario Kart noises or something because I was about to get taken out, or somebody was about to get taken out.
Well, I guess the question is, are we still anticipating
Yeah.
most of the cross traffic to happen right there?
I think it might even be extended. But I would say, yeah, with faster times, there's going to be people moving faster, bigger groups, more congestion, and maybe that's actually better for the approaching pros as they're coming down or coming inbound. Having more pros together might actually be, or like allow more visibility for them to come.
Increase awareness.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, there was minutes in between me and the next riders, and I didn't have a moto with me. So why would anyone expect that I was coming, you know? So, yeah, I would just say in that section, it's mostly 2-track. If you can stay right, I would say that that's probably the best way to do it. There are, however, a few spots that get a little hairier, namely the little drop-in to the Twin Lakes Dam aid station just after you exit the pavement, like the first drop-in. That one's always...
Right, you cross the highway, and then there is essentially a 20-foot little drop and into what I think is being used as the pro feed zone now, right?
Yeah, I have no idea who has the right-of-way there. I have no idea how they are going to
I would
address
say
that one.
make way for the people who are out there professionally and yield to them so that they can, light this place up. What do you think, Nate? You're one of the fast guys.
I think that's right. So I think the cross traffic impact will be, more than ever, more riders and sooner. That's already become the case with the elite field starting a half hour before even where I will be starting in the gold corral of the quote unquote citizens or everybody else race. So I'll be in the gold corral, but that's a half hour later. So even for somebody that's in the gold corral and maybe they're going to do a 7-hour or sub 7-hour day, the cross traffic where we see Keegan and Melisa coming back at us is earlier and earlier and earlier. And I would agree. I think a couple things that are important to emphasize. The pros are coming back at you at a speed that's much higher than the speed at which you're approaching them. And so if there is a way to just, find that little bit of, we don't need 5 feet of space, need, maybe 2 feet of space. But if there's a way to keep a head up and be alert and move to this side, I think that's the safest for everybody. It's kind of like when you're driving on one of these like long, like County 24, Highway 24, a long divided one lane in each direction. The time that a car can close that gap, can close the distance to you is so surprisingly fast, right? I think it's the same that you don't realize, say going up Columbine or in some of these little transition sections, you don't realize how fast they're coming at you and they cannot react as well. So yes, I would agree with you, Fatty. Yield to the fast racers coming at you, give them a little bit of grace. They're trying to hold momentum. They're really trying to compete. They may be trying to close a gap. It's a little different than, just making your way out there and at a bit of a slower pace, frankly.
You're going to see racers coming back at you a lot sooner than you normally would. Heads up, right?
And that should help because you'll see them sooner and you'll see more of them sooner. And that should, make you more alert to just keep an eye. It's actually probably, like you said, it's safer in that circumstance. It's probably a little bit more dangerous when it's more onesies and twosies and you sort of forget to, and it's easy to be that person. You're fatigued. You're trying to hold your head up. Your neck muscles are sore, literally, like down to that. I always think coming down Columbine, the number of folks coming up where their head isn't up, their eyes aren't up, well, we're all suffering. So just have that extra bit of alertness, I would say.
Uh-huh.
All right. So enough scare tactics. I feel bad. And I'm like, everyone watch out. But mostly everyone's going to be just fine. There's plenty of road for everyone almost all of the time. Just watch out for the places where things are a little bit tight. As we are like from this very long, 30, almost 30 miles of descending road before we get to Columbine, there's a good chance that you're going to have an opportunity to work together. How do you think this year is going to be different in terms of working in groups, when you should eat, how much you should eat, what changes, what doesn't?
I don't think you should change what you eat. Keep eating a lot.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, they changed the course, Fatty. They didn't change where you're racing. I mean, it's the same challenge that way, right, Melisa? I mean, as you say, Fatty, it's still an eating and drinking contest. And whatever you plan to do, keep doing it.
Yeah.
How about the working together part?
Yeah, I think finding a group and working with them is going to be huge here. And there's going to be more people around just because, like we've said earlier, there's just a little bit less of, Kevens is still going to be hard. There's still going to be separations after Kevens. You're going to be, not onesies and twosies, but you'll still be broken up a bit after that climb. I would say, get in a group and preserve as much energy as you can until Columbine. That's a really cool thing about this year. Maybe you're going to PR Columbine.
And that has to do with the fact that you haven't done as much climbing or as much work by the time you get to the base of Columbine, right?
Yeah.
Eric Morgan sent this message. He said, as a first-time Leadville racer, I'm trying to figure out how the 2026 course changes pacing. With Powerline gone, about 2,000 feet less climbing, times are going to be faster. Given your knowledge of the course, does this version change how I should approach my race day strategy? Are there places where it makes sense to burn a match where you maybe would have ridden more conservatively? So, what do you think, Nate, Melisa, Hottie? Do you hit this harder or do you ride it the same?
I'd say you still only have a few matches at altitude, so use them wisely. If you want to use it on Columbine instead of the couple that you might have used on Sugarloaf, I don't know how that necessarily changes pacing. I would just say that this isn't just going to be an easy day because it's different. I think that the change in the course, people are like, oh, how much easier is this going to be? It's going to still be a really, really hard day. And in the moment, I don't know if you're even going to perceive that you had an extra match. You should pace it as you were going to pace the original course, I think.
I think that's correct. I think that the thing that Eric is wondering about is toward the final quarter of the race. And I always am intentionally thinking about power line, and that thing is going to ruin me. If I come to, that final 20 miles of the race and I am already smoked, I am in big trouble. I need to save something for that. This year, I don't have to think about that. So are there places, should you go just a little bit harder on Columbine, knowing that you don't have the power line?
Do you save something on Columbine? I don't perceive that I save anything on Columbine.
Well, I'll chime in here as someone that's straddled in the matchup between, the pros and the Joe Schmoes. I think I've dabbled in being both of those myself at various times, with finishes in the 10.5, 11-hour range and finishes down, sub 7. I think that answer is different for pro level athlete. And I intuit Mel sort of saying, like, there's no holding back. There's no conserving.
I finished in over 10 hours, and I don't think I was holding back on
I know, but
Columbine.
no, back in the day. I think, look, you can only go as hard up Columbine as you can go. I guess maybe for some portion of the field, I could see where you sort of talk yourself through punching it out and really keeping a good pace up Columbine, knowing that, at mile 80, 85, it's a little bit of a different challenge than in prior years. But I don't think that the pacing really is too different. And by the way, I'll put this as a blanket statement for so many things about the race, and we haven't talked about gear and tires. I don't know. We're going to get there.
We will.
Okay.
We
well,
will.
We'll get there. But at the, it's still the Leadville 100. Your whatever gear ratio you needed to get up the Goat Trail, the top of Columbine, even up St. Kevin's at, 6:50 a.m. on a bad night's sleep at 10,000 feet from wherever you've traveled from, whatever gear ratio you need, you still need that gear ratio. Whatever tire choice you needed to feel like you weren't going to be at risk of flatting, going down the power line, as far as I'm concerned, that's the same tire choice as getting down the Goat Trail or St. Kevin's inbound at the end of the day. So I think there's more that's by far more that stayed the same than that which is different. So I'll leave it at that for now. Maybe we'll transition to some other topics. But on the pacing, the one thing I would say, and we've spent a lot of time talking about how there may be more kind of, condensed groups and more people to work with. I do think that just for everyone for whom that helps them have a great day, there's probably an equal number of folks who somehow maybe let that sabotage their day. Like, a group's awesome, but don't let yourself get carried away out there on near the fish hatchery. We're going to have more pavement to work with. Don't let that get yourself carried away for the enthusiasm to find a group. If you can find a group, that's awesome. Look for it, do it, take part, but conserve. I have seen over the years, many, many times, maybe it's a little bit of the roadie contingent. I don't know. I think that dividing line, when we started, Fatty, 25, 30 years ago, the divide between quote unquote roadie and mountain biker, I think was much bigger. But I see guys get so excited to be in a pace line, they just start hammering. Yeah. Just start hammering. Come on, guys, let's do it. Yeah, I'm here for it. I'll sit on the front for 20, 30 seconds. I'm not going to push 20% more watts than I otherwise should. Just rotate. Stay calm. Smooth, safe, communicative, calm. If you can use that pace lining to get over to Twin Lakes or back, and it means you save 3, 4, 5 minutes, that's awesome. That's going to come from being steady and smooth and predictable and safe. It's not going to come from like being a domestique in the Tour de France and you're chasing down the breakaway for your team leader. You are your team leader.
Yeah.
Fatty,
Hottie and I have talked about that so many times.
Fatty, we've done several shows on pacing, right? And most of them have centered around the use of the power meter and how to pace to the power meter. Not that you or I have used power meters, but many, many people in this race do. And what they've started to do with this race is they've started to math it. And they've mapped it out for themselves. And they know where they need to ride and how long they need to be there. And I think what was probably being asked here by Eric is, can I click it up a couple of watts overall for my day? Can I just push it a little bit? I would say ask your coach. Don't ask the podcast. Ask your coach, because he's been working for it. And hope you've been working with a coach and not with AI. So he can tell you, yeah, you could bump it up a few clicks. You probably have that because you're not going to have this thing at the end. That's probably where a lot of this is coming from. Like, can I click it up a couple of watts, as as I'm motoring down pipeline or as I'm motoring, across outward bound or wherever you might be at that particular time? Probably, but don't count on it. It's, as Mel said, as Nate said, it's still Leadville. It's still going to gas you. It's still going to be a very, very hard day.
That's true. Okay, maybe one more good reason to save a little bit of energy on that Columbine climb is that the turnaround is further away. I'm just going to say it. I, for the last however many years, have really missed the old school turnaround where there are some people who have never seen it. If you've ridden Leadville only in the last couple of years, you know a place as the turnaround. But if instead of doing the little lollipop and turning around, if you turned left, rode along a rocky little ridge for about, a quarter mile, half a mile, and then it is down into a big field that has the most amazing view that you will not see on race day. It is incredible. And there is a cabin, just, old falling over thing, and that is where the turnaround is this year. So when you get to what you think is the highest point, you're going to ride flat, then you're going to drop down, you're going to turn around, and you are going to have about 100 feet of climbing with your legs so loaded with lactic acid that it is just really, really hard. And I love it. I am so stoked for the old school turnaround to be back in play. What do you think, Nate?
Fatty, I totally agree. I'm glad we remembered to hit on it. I'm excited for it. I missed that turnaround. It's somewhat minor, but there's a couple things that I really like about it very specifically. And just to be really clear for the listeners, if you've done Leadville, let's call it pre-COVID, I'm almost certain that 2021 was the first year that they adjusted that turn. And so if you ever did a round of Leadville prior to that, you know what we're talking about. But if you've only been to Leadville and been on the course since 21, you may not have noticed this. When you get to the top, instead of the very, very small little circular, counterclockwise loop and back down you go, you'll bend to the left. And as Fatty said, you'll ride a little ways on a rocky ridge. Sometimes it's a little down, sometimes it's a little up, sometimes it has some potholes that could be a little muddy, filled with water. But it's relatively meaningless, other than it lets you do two or three nice things. One, you'll have more time to see your cross traffic kind of coming and going. And where did I get to the top of Columbine? And, where's my competition, or where's my buddy, or where's my training partner? So there's more time at a slower speed to sort of like see folks and cheer them on and wave. Or in the case of like the pro race, I'm sure they're taking time gaps and thinking about, okay, I got up here and how far back is the next rider and that sort of thing. Item number 2, it gives you more time and, more importantly, more workable terrain to take a sip from your bottle, to grab 2 or 3 gels. It really is that much difference. Now at the current turnaround, the one we're used to the last couple years here, you better remember to take that gel, because by the time you turn around and start heading downward, you're not getting to your pocket. You got two hands on the wheel, 2 hands on the brakes. It's rocky, it's rough, it's steep. You're facing cross traffic. Whereas this gives you just maybe, a net of whatever. Let's call it 5 minutes. It could be less, could be more. It gives you a little bit of time to mentally and, more importantly, physically prepare for the descent. And for me, at minimum, that involves downing 2 or 3 gels, making sure I'm keeping my carb intake high, taking a sip from a bottle. I don't use a hydration pack. So one of the downsides is it's harder to get to it. So I do like it from that standpoint. So enjoy if you're a first timer to the traditional, cabin turnaround.
Yeah. And while I am devastated that Leadville's no longer going to be the smallest lollipop in with the tiniest candy. That's how I always viewed it. I also really like this turnaround. I actually, when I was pre-riding, I rode Columbine last week, and there was a under 23 rider that got to the top at the same time as me of the old turnaround, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to go check out what the old turnaround was, like the former Columbine turnaround was?" And so I brought him over there, and little did we know that I was actually just giving him some course knowledge for this year. But yeah, I love it. I mean, like Eldon said, like the views are amazing, and yeah, I think it's a great addition.
The views are great, and Fatty, you called it a field, and one element of that is it's actually much nicer for the volunteers who are up there. So there's a lot more room to work. It's flatter, it's like less rocky, and it's a spot to like take a second. And on the prior iteration, I might not have grabbed a gel or anything from a volunteer. In this particular case, I might, because the loop is a little bigger, it's flatter, it's smoother. There's more crew. They're able to move around more, nimbly. So it's just a nice touch. It's we'll call it the throwback turnaround, TBT.
Yeah, love it. Before we move on to gear, and I do want to move on to gear, there is one thing that Melisa was talking about when you and I were talking on the phone yesterday, I think. Keevan's return. We've talked about scary spots. Let's go ahead and call it a rough spot on the course. Melisa, you've ridden on Keevan's for the first time since, I guess it hasn't been allowed to ride until very, very recently. It's different than it usually is. What's it like?
Yeah. I mean, as someone who, when I lived in Leadville and I rode the course almost every single day, I think I rode Keevan's 21 times in a summer. I've seen it in a lot of different conditions. And when I rode it, I think yesterday, it was probably the worst condition I've ever seen it. And I think that's simply because it rained a lot and now it's dry. It's predicted to rain a lot again. And there's not been hardly, I may have been one of the first riders on it a few days ago, since the beginning of the summer. And it was really rocky. It was really rutted and it was really loose. So I would say, if you're considering changing to a really light, fast tire for this change in how much road is being added, which I would say is, I know that it sounds like there's going to be a lot more road. There's still something like 70% dirt in this race. And a lot of it is still rugged. Like Nate said, Upper Columbine's still rugged. Keevan's still rugged. You still have to be able to keep air in your tires for these sections. And I would say don't go crazy with having the lightest tire possible.
Are the changes you're noting in Keevan's the main climb itself, or all the way across over to Carter? Is that all that double track? Is that roughed up as well?
That's actually interesting. There's been a lot of logging up there, and I would say that upper section is actually wider and smoother than it's ever been. But the lower section, where kind of like if you're descending it after the hairpin, that section in particular is the worst I've ever seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I echo that. I was able to do at least one, maybe two runs back actually in June. And at that point, I thought it was actually in sort of some of the best condition I'd seen in quite a while. And then really nothing to do with the fires, but just one way or another, kind of through the first, 3 weeks of July, there really just was not as much rain in Leadville as I think would be typical. I mean, certainly just, one man's opinion. And then there was literally like one night, in late July with heavy, heavy rain, and it was enough. Maybe that combination, no rain for a while, and then one night of heavy overnight rain. But if you had done Keevan's 3 days before that rain, it would look very different after. To a degree, I felt the same about some of the above tree line pieces of Columbine. With that said, it could all change. It's very dynamic here in Leadville based on how riders, and I mean after the stage race. I mean the stage race is much smaller than the main Leadville, but it's still hundreds of sets of wheels and lead motos and aid station vehicles and things like that. So things do shift around, and someone may disagree. They come to town, but I agree with what Melisa's saying, and I think it just further echoes the point. Like whatever you would have been preparing for has not magically disappeared. It's still going to be rugged. Knock on wood, I've been fortunate all these years in Buckles to really not have too many, if any, tough crashes, at least not on race day in Leadville. But probably
we know.
knock on wood, but probably my worst crash actually came in my very first Leadville. In that exact section, the final lower part of St. Kevin's descending, I was so euphoric at the thought that I was actually going to finish this thing and the day was kind of almost done. I think I just lost my focus, and there can be ruts, and there's, little whoops, and there's kind of a drainage trench to the rider's right on the descent. And I found myself in the ditch, shaking my head, wondering what the hell had happened to me.
It sounds like don't go and change out to your super skinny gravel tires for this race, is what I am hearing. There are going to be segments of this course that are rougher than you are used to. Let's talk about air pressure. Are either of you going to run harder or softer than usual?
I'm going to run what I always run, which is... Yeah, I'm not changing anything. I'll be on Dubnatals.
Beautiful. Great tire. Okay.
That's good information. I mean, you are there and you're looking at things, you're writing how you ride it. Okay, good to know. How about you, Nate?
I'm not planning on making any changes to my tires or pressure based on this iteration of the course.
Nate, you're a specialized guy still, right? Are you on air tracks, or what's going to be the tire of choice then?
Yes and yes. Air track, I forget how they label it now, 2.35.
Width? And are you full squish this year?
I've always been full squish, or at least I have been for the last few years. Yeah.
Make a hardtail, I don't think.
Nope, they do not. They make an amazing full cest. So I'll be on that. Yeah, I am going in between a 2.2 and a 2.4. I'm not sure what I'll do, but that was not because of the course change.
Okay.
I'm going to be riding on a custom-made titanium hardtail, but I would have been riding on that no matter what.
I think you should put drop bars on Fatty and see if anyone stops you. As a margin against protest, just put the drops on and take off.
Yeah, no. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, next question from Joe Pecor says, how is the reroute, he's asking, and this is why I included this one, how is the reroute going to affect single-speed racers and their ratios? I will say it's going to make it harder, is what it's going to do. You're going to be, the spin-outs are going to be worse, and the climbs are going to be just as bad. So have fun. I've changed over to geared because my ankle is a disaster, and now's not a good year for me to single speed. Next year. Matt Payne asked, he says, there's a lot of talk going with a bigger chain ring, but you've still got Columbine. Is it worth the risk, all in an effort to pick up some time in the flats? What do you think, Mel, Nate, Hottie?
I think this is actually a really interesting question, and I'm not sure. Simply because, you're eliminating a climb where I would argue, without having Powerline inbound, that would be kind of the bar of where you'd need your biggest gear. Along with the top of Columbine, but say we're just walking that anyway. Like, what are you losing if you do increase your chainring size? I don't know. What do you think, Nate?
That's an interesting way to think about it. Does it change? Yes or no? Does a different set of gear ratios, different chainring size, change whether you are walking or riding anywhere? And that's one I'm not sure I can really answer. What I can say is, in my mind, there are 3 places on the traditional course where I need my easiest gear, whatever that might be for me, for Nate. And those 3 are Powerline inbound, which we don't have to deal with this year. But then the remaining 2 we still have to deal with. One of which is the upper portions of Columbine, from where it goes above tree line That's actually gotten even harder over the time I've been doing this race, because now remember there's that small section where it's not cross traffic, where the uphill traffic goes to the right on that super off-camber packed dirt scenario, and the downhill traffic goes in the crazy rocky, I hope I don't flat in these next 45 seconds section. Third is St. Kevin's at the beginning of the day. One thing that I don't ever remember, regardless of my chainring choice, is like spinning out and not being able to go fast enough, like through the pipeline.
Yes.
Or in those types of sections. Maybe in the downhills, like maybe certain downhills, yes. But in anything that looks flat or rolling, I've always had the right gear.
I would argue that increasing your chainring size matters a lot more if you're alone. And guess what is going to happen this year? You're not going to be alone.
Very rare that anyone's going to be alone. You might be alone, Melisa.
So I might be considering.
I'm the wrong person to ask about gearing. I've worn out my welcome on the Facebook participants page telling people that they gear way too low, that they're giving up all kinds of frictional losses by running around in that 10-tooth cog, or even the 11 for that matter, and people don't want to hear it. And I get it. They want to be able to climb. They think they can climb the goat trail, and when they're on an 11-hour pace, okay, great. Put your 28 on and go for it. Remember, you got to climb out of the old turnaround too, which is not easy to do either. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I still believe in 2x, so that's how much of a dinosaur I am, Fatty. I am just the wrong person to talk on this topic. I'm going to shut my mouth now before I get into any trouble and cause people to turn off this podcast.
All right, so let's talk about crewing. Hottie, you are the only one of the four of us who has any crewing experience at this race, I believe.
Oh.
Right? I've
I've
never
crewed.
crewed for anyone.
Oh.
Have you crewed?
crewed for
You've
you.
crewed Leadville?
Pipeline
All right.
inbound 2023.
Okay.
You don't remember?
That's right. The year you did not do Grand Prix. So yes, thank you. My memory's going. I will
You
freely
don't
admit
remember the
that.
22nd finish of your 27?
Man, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast. So, Hottie,
Yes.
Melisa, I guess, tell us, for this year, how is crewing going to be different? Or is it?
I think I think it should run as far as where to go and where you're setting up. There's some nuance, there's some rule changes regarding anyone not in gold, silver, or red at Twin Lakes Dam, where you no longer can bring your own stuff. They're like putting you in a kind of a common area there to handle your feeds for athletes. So there's not going to be any opportunity for folks not in those front corrals, with riders not in those front corrals, to do, the massive setups we've seen in the past. That's a pretty significant change. As many of you know, they did a lottery for Twin Lakes Alternate, aka Lost Canyon, where you have to have a space in your name before you go out there and set up. And they are allowing Friday night drop off there, which is great. So I think
requiring it, even if you're going to have a tent there, you can't bring it Saturday morning. You got to take it there Friday,
okay.
Right?
And then Outward Bound has become, I think, a win for the race and for crew. That sounds like a great spot to be. Pipeline's still in place. Pipeline Alternate is still an opportunity for some people who want to use it instead. It's also a pro spot where they're going to get fed. So I think the locations and in general, the logistics are going to do shuttles from Outward Bound to Twin Lakes Dam like they did last year. So a lot of that's the same. I think the biggest change is going to be timing. Like riders are just going to get to you faster. So if you're at Outward Bound and you're planning to feed somebody outbound, get on your horse and get down there early, because they're probably going to get there. For sure, they're going to get there quicker than they have in years past. There's no Sugarloaf to climb, right? They're for sure going to get there. They're faster. So look for them there. Look for them at the dam, at Twin Lakes Alternate quicker. And then on the return, I think you're working with the same math as far as how long it's going to take to get from Columbine Summit to Lost Canyon, to Twin Lakes Dam, to Outward Bound. I mean, I think all that math should be about the same. But I would just look for riders faster than you're normally seeing them as they're traveling outbound.
For the fast duo here, what are your crewing plans for this year?
I am using the pro only feed zones like
Mhm.
Hottie had alluded to, which include Pipeline and Twin Lakes, which I don't know how that's going to work because those are very close together.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not only Twin Lakes, it's the Mountain View area parking lot, which is technically before the dam itself. So,
Yeah.
man, that's like a pipeline to there is like, what for you, a 30-minute, 35-minute ride at worst? I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
fast, yeah. Melisa, you can still take feeds at other spots, correct?
no
No? Not at Lost Canyon or anywhere, huh?
hard rule.
Sorry, okay.
And Melisa, just for human interest here, for racer interest, is it accurate to say that Unbound was sort of the first major event that implemented that system for the pros?
Yeah, and I think that it was pretty successful over there. So, and people liked it. They put it in places that it was easy to get in and out, just because of how quickly riders were coming in and out. Yeah, so curious to see how it goes.
And I'll just add, it's worth it for citizen racers to be aware that the pros are feeding in a different place than you are. And so when you are rolling through this, you are coming down the pavement, you cross the highway, and you are on this dirt road that is lined with what looks like a bunch of crews. None of them are for you. They are for the pros. Okay. So you don't need to, have your, head up, eyes out, looking along, the lining of this, because your crew is going to be on the dam. And, or if you entered the lottery and got in the lottery for Lost Canyon, that's going to be right at the base of Columbine. So make sure if you have, which of these 3 different aid stations you have access to, which one you can use, because they are, all 3 of them have different restrictions.
I think that's an important point for folks who are quite experienced with Leadville, meaning they think they kind of maybe have it all figured out. I've been doing this, 8 years or 15 years or whatever the number is. Things do evolve, the rules evolve, the designations evolve, the parking passes evolve. Yep. And, I think they evolve for good reason. So I could imagine, some surprised faces for folks who maybe didn't pay attention to some of these changes because they sort of thought it was kind of going to be the way it's always been. And hey, my buddy or my wife always stands over here and hands me a bottle. Double check. I've even been doing it just in the last couple of days. Who kind of has access to what spot? At Unbound, it was fairly easy to keep tabs on because the pro feeds were really sort of isolated from what the citizen rider would have been used to thinking about as the feed zones. I think that's a little bit different at Leadville. I've certainly taken feeds on Hottie, what did you call the name? Mountain Overlook?
It's the Mountain View parking lot, Mountain View area parking lot.
So there have been years where that's been my crew spot. I don't have access to that spot this year.
Yeah, Fatty's use that too. That's actually a great spot because you just roll off that little single track and there they are lined up right there.
Yep. Yeah. It was a great spot, not for citizen racers anymore.
Really quickly from my vantage point, I don't really plan to change anything other than just as Heidi so perfectly said, everything's just going to come at you faster. And so whatever your pace is, you will be getting to Pipeline, you will be getting to Outward Bound, you will be getting to Twin Lakes Dam, you will be getting to Lost Canyon Road alternate, wherever you're supposed to take your aid, especially outbound will be the biggest impact, but you will be getting there faster and sooner and earlier. And I long ago, between more racers, more crews, more sophisticated and elaborate crew structures, and myself just generally getting faster as the years went on, I long ago abandoned any plan that requires crew to move around the course throughout the day.
Yep.
At some point, several years back, I just decided, nope. If I need crew there, they go there, they stay there. Maybe see me at the finish line. Enjoy the race, take it all in. It'll be a lot more fun for your crew and your family members and your friends who's ever, doing this for you. It'll be a lot more enjoyable for them to actually take it in and watch the pros go by and watch everybody go by and cheer rather than, handing a bottle and then can I get to my car? Is my car blocked in? Where am I trying to go? So that's my take for 2026.
Final thoughts.
I'll take a stab first. Biggest and final thought, I think we should all be so excited that we're getting to race.
Yeah.
This conversation has made me even more stoked. And that's hard to do because I'm always pretty stoked for Leadville, but we're fortunate we're going to get to be out there. It's not just about riding the bike and racing, but it's about, getting to the amazing town of Leadville, maybe making some new friends along the way, take it all in. People will look back on this year 5 and 10 and 15 years from now, and if you're still involved with the scene in Leadville, people will ask you, hey, were you there in 2026 when there was a fire that
That's right.
burned the course, or when somebody, who knows, broke 5 hours on the alternate course, or this'll be a year that kind of goes down in the annals, and you may not realize it right now, but you'll be excited and feel lucky down the line when you get to say, yeah, I was there and I did that. So let's keep the stoke high, positive mojo all around, and good luck to everybody out there.
Love it, Nate.
Yeah. I mean,
Mel.
Same sentiment. I unfortunately crashed really early this year in March when I was getting ready for Cape Epic. And so essentially erased half of my year of racing. And this is one of my first races back. And I feel just as excited as I did the first time, just as nervous too. So I know that all of the uncertainty around the course change and the times and the crewing and the whatever you're worried about is really high right now. It's high for everyone, and it's gonna be okay. And that's why we love racing, is because of the uncertainty, and because you go out there and you start the race and you get the opportunity to do hard things all day, and then you finish it. So you still get to do that, and you get to do that in Leadville, and it'll go down in history as a really special day.
Absolutely true. Hottie.
Yeah, shout out to Lake County Sheriff Heath Speckman. Man, you did a great job of handling a major emergency in your county. You're a Leadville racer, we know that, and a Lead Challenge person. We know you'd rather be racing instead of dealing with all this stuff, but he and his team and the Office of County Emergency Management did a terrific job, as did all the men and women from the U.S. Forest Service who fought this fire, who are going to be there on hand while we're all racing and doing our thing. So tip of the cap to them, definitely. Going into this fire, when it took off, man, it just did not look good. There's a lot of wilderness out there, a lot of what they call mixed conifer, which is just stuff laying on the ground, ready to burn and ready to go up fast. And this thing could have looked a lot worse. Never mind racing. It would have been terrible for the town and for a lot of stuff in there. So they did a big job. So I want to especially point out somebody who we've had on this show, and that is Sheriff Speckman.
Yeah, good friend of the show, good friend in general. Thanks so much, Heath. You're amazing.
And Tamara.
Yeah, Tamara.
I mean, not only is she dealing with the course changes, but she has to deal with people. I mean, a lot of people. I'm sure she's getting a lot of emails.
Oh, I am sure.
And not only figure out everything for us for the Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike race on Saturday the 15th.
But the run.
A
week later.
The stage race, which actually took place and was a really incredible experience. And I think sometimes as 100-mile mountain bike competitors, hard to imagine, like, we don't get that, but I think sometimes we forget that there's a lot more going on in the series and in town than just our 100. So
we're just her biggest problem child. We're not her only child. It's really what it comes down to. Oh, okay. So yes, and so many more that we haven't properly thanked. You know what? Maybe after this race happens, 4 of us ought to get back together and talk about our day. I think that would be a good episode 2 of season 9 of the Leadville 100 podcast. Melisa, XCM champ, 2024 Leadville champ, one of only 3 women to ever break 7 hours at Leadville, basically the Hammer Jr. Super excited to see you wearing stars and stripes on the course 1 week from tomorrow. I know. It's so cool. Everyone who sees her, when you see someone who is wearing stars and stripes, say hi to Melisa. Very curious to see where on the course I will see you. Nate, fastest guy nobody has ever heard of. You're going to have to change your name, man, because
maybe they've heard of me now.
By now, they have heard of you. And Hottie, good to have you on this show again, right? It is fun. It feels like home to be doing this show.
All right. Well, to everyone, good luck in your Leadville planning, traveling, tapering, training, what's left of it, and, of course, racing. Thanks for listening, and we will see you very soon at 6th and Harrison, the starting line.